I'm Melissa, and this is my husband Ross, and we both had gastric bypass surgery a year ago. Since we've had the surgery, we both have lost 100 pounds each, so we've lost 200 pounds between the two of us, which is kind of crazy. We think of like how much we're saving in our car on like the 4 tires, like we had an extra 200 pounds in the car, so we lost another human being. When would you say you started gaining weight?
I can definitely tell when I was a teenager that I just had excess weight compared to the other guys. And being that my father was also overweight, I think it just fell into the genes.
So my mother and Ross's father were both overweight, and they, in their life, like in their later, how old was your dad when he got it? In his 40s?
I would say he was in his 40s, probably mid-40s. He's had the gastric bypass for over 15 years, and he's thankfully been able to keep it off.
Yeah, my mom got it in her 50s. So when they both had their surgeries and we saw them lose weight, that kind of spoke for itself. And knowing that we kind of took after them genetically and body type wise, we kind of figured, well, if it worked for them, it would probably work for us. So one of my concerns was gestational diabetes I had with both of my pregnancies. We were married, we had 2 children, and we were still struggling with our weight, yo-yo dieting. We would lose the weight, we would gain it back, and our start weight was always heavier. So let's say I was 220 when I started the diet, I'd lose the weight and then I'd be like 230. And then I'd do another diet and I'd get down and then I'd be 240. It was always climbing back up. And that concerned me, and I felt like, you know, how big is it going to get? And when I was pregnant, the scale hit 300, and I said, I never ever want to see this number ever again. So after we were done having kids, we were like, we got to really make a long-term plan here. We did Weight Watchers, Atkins, Ally, Nutrisystem, every diet that you know exists, we did it. Slim Fast, everything that exists out there, we did it. We've done different, you know, exercise challenges, and none of those things in themselves are bad. They're all good and good tools. But I think when genetics plays a role, and I think that kind of spoke for itself, we kind of felt like it was an upward battle and we were never going to win. I mean, before surgery, you were on like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, or high
Just blood pressure.
Just the blood pressure. But like in our family, everybody had high cholesterol, diabetes, high blood pressure. It was all in our family. So really, if we waited longer, that probably would have ended up happening if we kept on the path we were on.
Yeah, your mom had high blood pressure. My father had high blood pressure.
Yeah, it's all in our family
My
history.
father had asthma. It all went away.
Yeah, everything went away after surgery for our mom and my mom and his dad after they got the surgery. All the medication they were on had to be taken off because their body just automatically kind of regulated itself. He was taken off of his medication right away.
We definitely wanted to be better role models for our children because being so large and heavy, it was just not great for us to be active with our children. We want to make sure they're not sedentary and that they're active in this culture nowadays, that everything is screen time. So we want to make sure we go out and we're just physically active with them.
I know for me, clothing shopping was like dreadful. And I'm in my 30s and I had to wear clothes that made me feel like I was an older woman. Like everything in the plus size section is so matronly. It just feels like I couldn't express my personality and be myself. I had to kind of be in somebody else's. It's almost like I was wearing somebody else's body, and who I was on the inside wasn't showing through. And even like my personality, like losing the weight, I feel like I can be myself more, and I'm less like embarrassed of myself. Not that anybody overweight should be embarrassed of themselves, but of course, you know your struggles, but you think that other people see you as lazy and you're just fat because you don't want to exercise. And I did a lot of exercising and I was still heavy. So it was frustrating because you think of other people, how they're judging you based on your weight, and that's not really who you are. So this surgery was such a tool because now I was able to control the types of food I was eating and the amount I was eating and finally lose the weight, because I would do all kinds of diets where we would measure and like be starving, sitting there starving, waiting till the next meal time so we could eat, and exercising, and then the weight would come off. If anything, it would come off in drips and drabs. And like I said, we always gained it back.
The next family function, such as like a birthday party or holidays, you know, it's just like, oh, you're eating in excess.
Yeah, we would lose weight and then the holidays would come, or we would lose weight and then birthdays would come, and it just was always a struggle. For us, we both struggled with our weight. We both needed the surgery, but I know that's not the same for everybody. Sometimes there's one spouse that needs the surgery and one doesn't. And there's a lot of benefits for us since we had it together. All those food changes we made, we had to do together. So when we had to be on a liquid diet for 2 weeks, we did that together. When we were starting to introduce new foods, we kind of knew how each other felt, and the plate sizes got smaller and the portions got smaller, and it was across the board for the house. And I think that made it a lot easier. So if you're considering surgery and your spouse doesn't need the surgery, making sure you're both on the same page that household things are going to change, like the menu and the size of your dinner plates. But I think it's healthy for everybody. Like, it's for our children. We're realizing portion sizes when we're feeding our kids, because before our portion sizes were so off. If your big thing for date night is to go out to dinner, that's going to change, and it might not be a while till you go back out to dinner. And even if you do, you're going to eat differently when you go out. So if that's going to make your spouse upset, that's your thing, is going out to eat and being foodies, and maybe you have a food blog, I don't know, but it's going to change your life. I would say it's going to change it for the better. But any big life changing decision you don't make quickly, and you don't make it on your own. But we did think about it, pray about it, and talk about it for 2 years until we finally decided. So I wouldn't blame anybody for taking time, but I'm so glad we did, and I don't regret it. Like he said, it was a very quick healing. We went back to work pretty quickly. It didn't alter our life at all, as far as having to take ginormous times off of work or anything like that. So a big question I get from a lot of people who are either considering the surgery or just curious friends: do you get to have food anymore? Do you enjoy food? And it's almost like I explain to them, when you're craving something and that first bite you take and it's amazing and your mouth is watering, it tastes so good. Really, after that bite, you don't need any more. You just keep eating it because it's there. So I tell them it's kind of like I get that one really good bite and then I'm done. I don't need any more. So even if there's something I want to eat, I just take one bite and I'm good. So the surgery for me has let me just control portion sizes. My body stops me, where before I would just unconsciously be eating. My emotions, if there was stress going on or any family stuff going on, I would turn to food. If there was good news and we were celebrating, I would turn to food. If I was sad and depressed because somebody passed away, I would eat food. Any reason, that was the reason, was to eat food. So now I'm looking at other things to do to spend my time and enjoy myself and reward myself instead of with food. But I think the surgery, with having such a smaller stomach, it allows you to, feel satisfied and then stop eating. And you don't just keep eating because of habit or emotion or whatever your struggle is. The grocery bill is less, even though we're buying more higher quality food that's more expensive. We're eating so much less that the grocery budget actually goes further, and we're eating better food. We're eating a lot of fish and high quality stuff that before we could only afford chicken because we would eat so much. So the same grocery budget is getting us way more food, better food too. I don't know what our life would have been if we didn't get surgery, how long we would have struggled. I know everybody that's had surgery that I met prior to us having surgery, they always told us the one thing that they regret is they wish they didn't wait so long.
I'd recommend the surgery. My father had the surgery done over 15 years ago, and it was the older style surgery where it was his abdomen was split, kind of like a C-section. Nowadays, laparoscopic, it's very simple, small incisions and very quick healing. It definitely helps your lifestyle. Like I said, I have a lot more energy that I can play with my son and my daughter, being that they're 5 and 6, soon to be 6 and 7. So do your research, listen to, look up other videos, but definitely I would recommend it. It definitely helps your life in a positive way. I'm sure it helps longevity, living longer and healthier.